Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple's virtual Dharma service. We will begin the service today with the chanting of the Vandana and Ti-Sarana, and this is found on page 7 of your red service book. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. The sutra today is Praises of the Buddha, the English version of Sambutsuge. And this is found in your red service book on page 112. Page 112. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Your face shines in great splendor, boundless, wondrous dignity, such the greatness of your light, beyond all comparison, brightness of the sun and moon, and the shining money jewels, when compared to your brilliance, seem to us like blackest ink. Gatha's countenance transcends all comparison. The great voice of awakening resounds through the 10 quarters. Your precepts, learning, effort, meditation, wisdom are virtues beyond all compare, ultimate, supreme, and rare. Your deep meditation has fathomed all the Dharma sea, to the limits and the depths of all things the Buddhas teach. Ignorance, anger, and greed, the world-honored one has none. Like a lion among men, measureless your your great virtue. Vast are your great virtuous deeds. Wisdom deep and so sublime. Your radiant luminous light shakes all the world's foundations. When I become a Buddha, equal to the Dharma King, I will transcend birth and death, liberating all beings. My giving disciplined mind, precepts, patience, and effort, meditation and wisdom shall be supreme, unsurpassed. I will attain Buddhahood, everywhere fulfill my vow, bring into all those in fear great peace and tranquility. Though there are myriad Buddhas, beyond measure, beyond count, and great sages numberless, like the grains of Ganges sands, I will honor each of them, equally accepting none. Even more importantly, I will seek the supreme way, even though all Buddha worlds are countless as Ganges sands, even though all lands and realms are boundless without measure, yet my light shall reach them all and illumine every place. Such shall be my perfect work, such my power infinite. When I attain Buddhahood, my land will be first and best, place of practice transcendent, its people sublime and rare, land equal to nirvana, beyond all comparison, with pity for everyone, I will carry all across, all who come from 10 quarters to be born into my land, to attain pure joyful mind, peace and great tranquility. Be my witness, Buddha, please confirm my sincerity. Now that I have made my vows, I will strive to fulfill them. Buddhas of the 10 quarters, with your wisdom unhindered, may all of these honored ones know my deepest intention, even though my body must bear great pain and suffering. I will persevere and strive patiently without regret. all together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namandal, Sunamandal, Namandal, Namandal, Namandal. Let's put our hands together in kansho. Casting off the self-power mind of varied practices and disciplines, we entrust ourselves single-mindedly to Amida Tathagata to save us in regard to the one great matter of birth. With one thought moment of entrusting, we know that we are saved and that our birth is settled. After this, we say the name in joy and gratitude, repaying the Buddha's benevolence. We acknowledge gracefully that we are able to hear and understand this teaching because of the benevolence of our Master having appeared in this world and of the successors in the transmission, the good teachers whose words were not shallow. Beyond this, we will observe the established rules of conduct throughout our lives. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Let's put our hands together in reverence as I read these words. When we say Namo Amida Butsu, the countless Buddhas throughout the 10 quarters, surrounding us 100-fold, 1,000-fold, rejoice in and protects us. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You know, this Etaikyo service is one of the 6 major services of the Hongwanji. To refresh your memory, they are Honko, which is a memorial in honor of our founder of Jodo Shinshu, the spring Ohigang, Gotang-e, which is Shinran's birthday, Obong, the fall Ohigang, and finally Etaikyo. And so when we have services such as the one we are observing this morning, I wonder what everyone may be thinking. I know that all of you know that Etaikyo means perpetual sutra chanting. But does that mean that we chant today the sutras over and over, continuously, without a break? As you may know, the word Etaikyo is an abbreviation of the word Etaikyo, that although it means the perpetual recitation of the sutras, it is the kind of a memorial service to pay tribute to those who have gone before us. The Eitai in Etaikyo means perpetual, and the word Kyo means sutra, or the words of the Buddha. It is said that the Etaikyo service was originally established by followers of the Buddha, as they wished that the teachings could continue to their descendants from generation to generation. And so a fund was established for maintaining their Sangha. In Jodo Shinshu, it is said that the 14th abbot of the Hongwanji, Jakunyo, began the Etaikyo service. And so there are many ways in which we can observe Etaikyo in our hearts. For example, there has been a great concern this past few years and very recently about how our environment will be affected by what we do or by what we don't do today. In Hawaii and in many parts of the country, plastic bags have been banned, and it is heartening to see so many people going shopping, bringing their own reusable bags. But there has to be more control, as I often see people going to the vegetable and fruit department and get loads of free plastic bags that are intended to pack those items, but use them instead for groceries as well. I guess some people will learn to crack the system and be innovative, I guess. Then too, because of the COVID-19 pandemic that has been with us since early March, we have been very careful of each other by wearing masks, keeping safe distancing from each other, and observing good hygiene practices. But that being said, local temples here in Hawaii have been encouraging its members to bring their own dishes and utensils to be used during refreshments. And I believe that many people are complying. The spirit of Etaikyo Service is that through the efforts of all those in this Sangha that have passed on, without their sweat, blood, and tears, this beautiful temple would never have been able to have been built, much less sustain itself. Their wonderful dana, or selfless giving, is what we see as a result today. Most of these people we do not even know, may not have even heard about. Yet the results of their effort are here, and we remember them and show our gratitude to them by chanting the sutras in their memory. In an article in Oceans, which is the Kahului Hongwanji's newsletter, Reverend Tennis wrote about a joke about the difference between involvement and commitment. He said that when you make a breakfast of bacon and eggs, you can say that a chicken was involved, but a pig was committed. Of course, neither the chicken nor the egg participated voluntarily in this, but when it comes to our own participation in sustaining our temples, the differences between these two words are very important. So are you merely involved in the temple, or are you fully committed? If we merely go to Sunday services, are we truly committed? Those that came before us were not only involved, but they were truly committed as well. Because of their deepest aspirations, the Buddhist teachings can be heard and will continually enlighten us to this very day, as it has been here at Windward, even as a branch temple of the Waimanalo Hongwanji back in the day. Thanks to the benevolence of a late member, Dorothy Ono, who because offered major gift, and of course of others as well, that played a large part in their desire to continue the propagation of the Nembutsu teachings throughout the Windward area. We chant for her and for all those hardworking members who maintain our Sangha that have passed on, and we remember them at Etaikyo. And so Etaikyo is about appreciation, and it teaches us that everything that we receive in life, actually life itself, is truly a gift. Think about a large bucket of sand, literally billions of grains of sand. Take out or choose just one grain, and that would be you. In the Kikyomo, or homages, it is read that hard it is to be born into human life, and now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Buddha, and now we hear them. The main thing that it makes it possible for any person to live a full and creative life is the realization that I exist because of the limitless and unearned benevolence that I am receiving this and every moment. And this is the teaching of interdependence, or pratitya samutpada. And so when we really, truly realize interdependence, we cannot help but want to express gratitude to all beings. To understand the debt of gratitude we owe others means that we have begun to desire happiness for all beings. That is the true Nembutsu way. Immigrants from a foreign land that came to Hawaii said the Nembutsu in deep appreciation for the opportunity for a new and renewed life. Although difficult and harsh, they recited the Nembutsu for their children, an aspiration for their succeeding generations. A Buddhist scholar who has written many books on religion asked the question, I invite you to think about what the word perpetual means, that although our chanting on this day may have taken only a few minutes, and the next year we will chant again, just as we did this year and last year, and many years before it. We will do so again for many years to come. These moments of chanting will pass, but the chant remains. Those who do the chant eventually become those for whom you chant. We who are here today once lived only in the minds and aspirations of the chanters who looked into the future, and will one day live only in the minds of those who recall the past. And together we flow as one in the ritual of chanting. That is why we say that although we chant for those in the past, we are one with them. In this sense, we are all heirs of those that have preceded us, all the way back to mitochondrial Eve, who lived in Africa. And we chant for her today also, although we do not know her. Through this Etaikyo service, all the sentient beings that have brought the Dharma to us are remembered. And the perpetual chant is for all persons, in all times, and in all places. But there is another way to think about Etaikyo, and as we think about it, it becomes alive for us. Etaikyo just happens to occur around Thanksgiving, when many of us would get together with loved ones to enjoy the Thanksgiving Day, laughing, telling jokes with family and friends, although it may be a bit different this year. I know some of us will be glued to the television set to watch a pro football game, while the rest are busy in the kitchen preparing for the festivities. It is one of my favorite days because I just love turkey. I love ham and sashimi and whatever else that's put on the table. Thanksgiving is the closest thing to a Buddhist holiday. During Thanksgiving, we are not honoring a specific individual or a group of leaders or even a significant event in the history of our country or temple. It is the collective honoring, sort of, just as we honor our members that sustain our temples in the past in Etaikyo services, a time of reflecting in our lives, to take the time to come together with the people that fulfill our lives, and we say thanks for what they gave and for what they are continuing to give to our daily lives. It is the time that we set aside as a nation, as a family, as a sangha, to set aside and step back from our busy lives to come together with family and friends to simply give thanks for all that we have. Thanksgiving is the most Buddhist observance for a life of appreciation. A Buddhist life is a life of gratitude, a life of Nembutsu, a life of Namo Amida Butsu. It teaches us that everything we receive in life, and life itself, is truly a gift. What makes it possible for any being to live a full and creative life is the realization that I exist only because of the limitless and unearned benevolence that I am receiving right now at this very moment and at each moment of our lives. As this realization becomes clear to us, we cannot help but express gratitude to all beings, and this is the true path of Nembutsu. It is a day of relaxation wherever you go, whether it's to your parents' home or an uncle or aunt or cousin maybe, or a friend's home, or having your own kids come over. It is the most peaceful time and a time to once again reflect further on what Thanksgiving and ultimately what Eitaikyo can also mean to us. So as I am here this morning to share a few thoughts with you, I'd like to relate this story to you. It is the story of a man who, upon graduating from college, joined the U.S. Army and who worked as an X-ray technician at a major medical center in Denver, Colorado. Soon after he started working in his unit there, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. As you know, immediately Americans of Japanese descent were all under suspicion. He asked his colonel, "What's going to happen to me now?" His colonel was not shaken by all of this nationwide hysteria following the attacks. He explained to them that racism has no place in the United States Army, and definitely not here in this hospital. So from that day on, this soldier felt no discrimination and did not experience mistreatment from his fellow soldiers. His army life was just as it was before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Although he and the colonel never once spoke of this briefing again, He said that he could never thank the colonel enough for what he did was not only fair and compassionate, but it was truly an act of leadership. And so the war continued on, and this soldier, who was 26 years old at the time, took on other responsibilities as a medic. One of his duties was to transport patients to and from the medical center, either by truck or by ambulance. Unfortunately, during one of his trips, he got into a terrible accident, and 4 soldiers died from their injuries. He himself suffered a broken leg and a fractured jaw. He sustained so many injuries that he was in the hospital for 7 months while recuperating. After he was released from his unit at the medical center where he was stationed, his colonel put him on light duty, and that meant that he was not deployable for combat duty. At the time, the United States was recruiting Japanese Americans for the Military Intelligence Service, the 100th Battalion, and the 442. So recruiters approached the man, but because of his light duty profile, his colonel told him that he did not have to deploy with those units, and that he could serve the rest of his commitment at the Army Hospital in Denver, Colorado. He later told a friend that because of the injuries sustained in the accident, that accident actually saved his life, because he did not have to deploy and fight in the war. After he finished his story, he related that ever since his accident, ever since age 26, he realized that he was living on borrowed time. He could have died in the accident, or he could have been killed in a war, but he didn't. So from the age of 26 until this time, he had this feeling of borrowed time each and every day. He said that he hangs on to this feeling of borrowed time his whole life because he realizes that he could have perished in a flash. He then said that he tries to appreciate each day as a gift, to live with such gratitude for each day of life in the spirit of thanksgiving. In Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, we call this living a life of Nembutsu. The story of this man's life is a reminder for us not to take this life for granted. Our life of health, our family, or our friends, our sangha, and all the experiences and people that make our life meaningful. To this man, every day is a gift to be treasured. In a way, from the age 26 until the present, his life has been a life of thanksgiving, a life of gratitude. Not just one day a year when we get together with family and friends. When we hear stories of people that live with such appreciation, I cannot help but to reflect upon my own life and feel encouraged to live life each day with such a real awareness and sincere gratitude for the gift of life that I have been able to live. Especially as we are now in the beginning of the holiday season, let us try to treasure each and every day, try to appreciate the people that we love with gratitude. Since the time of our founder Shinran, 25 generations have passed. 25 generations of heads of the Hongwanji, 25 generations of Shin followers, each with their deepest aspiration for their following generations. Our ancestors that came to this country built and sustained the Hongwanji for 5-6 generations of followers, each with their deepest aspirations for us, are continually watching over us, encouraging us to go on, not only to sustain, but to build on their legacy. It was their deepest wish for us, their deepest aspiration. Let's remember that the most important way to honor past temple members is to quickly entrust ourselves to Amida's great compassionate vow and live the Nembutsu teaching every moment in our lives. Let's put our hands together in Gassho and recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. We will conclude today's service with the Gatha, Amida's Smile. And this is followed by the Nembutsu. Namo Amida, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu. Reverently entrusting myself to the teaching, practice, and realization that are the true essence of the Pure Land Way, I am especially aware of the profundity of the Tathagata's benevolences. Here I rejoice in what I have heard and extol what I have received. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, thank you very much for attending this virtual Dharma service once again. And please be safe and be healthy. Next week, our speaker will be Keiji Kukino, board member of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Thank you and take care. Bye.